welcome Matt Monday.
All right, everyone okay? Everyone awake? Everyone got their coffee? All right, I don't want this to, I don't want this to be too, I went on YouTube and saw a lot of the Creative Morning presentations. I don't want this to be too formal. I want it to be kind of like us talking over coffee, which we are doing. I go by Matt Monday, like Yvonne said, Charleston hip hop artist. I've lived here my entire life, North Charleston. And when Joel contacted me and Yvonne, we all spoke and told me about intention. At first I was like, what am I going to tell everyone about intention? And I looked at my own, ended up looking at my own life and seeing everything that led me up into this point. Everything that got me to a point of success or a point of notoriety and a point of where I felt like I was doing what I should be doing. And it all came from intention. Everything begins with intention. So I'm gonna kind of go through a story of how intention got me to this point. This is my mother, Yolanda Bostic. She had me at 21, and she was a nurse at the time, having a young kid, not really knowing exactly what direction to go, what to do, but off the bat, she had what was the good intention to be a good parent. I think every parent comes in with the intention of wanting their kid to be as successful, as independent, as great, and reaching their max potential. So yeah, she had me, and I gotta say she's a really, really heavy influence on my life as far as where I am now, and the things that she instilled in me. So she had me, she's excited. She's happy, she's like, oh, I'm having a son, this is gonna be great. So I'm born, and now she's kneeling down thinking, oh my goodness, what have I gotten myself into? And I am enjoying my bottle, not really worried about anything that's going on. And I know she said, oh God, please don't let my son be a rapper. Which ended up happening anyway. I got a few notes I'm gonna go through. And so, you know, I think the initial intention, especially in the Black community, is when you coming up in a lower class area. I came up in North Charleston. We started living in an area called St. Charles Place. It's off of, what's that, McMillan and Azalea. It's McMillan. And we started living there. And the connotation in North Charleston is that, like, the further you move up Dorchester Road, I don't know why this, if anybody's from North Charleston, it's like it gets better to people. It's like the further you go up, the better it gets. So we started at the bottom end. But I'm grateful for that, because through that, you learn a lot of values. You learn a lot of things about people. You grow up a little bit quicker than what may be intended, but the things you learn kind of carry with you through life and help you maneuver better than what you may normally have, if I'm saying that correctly. So I grew up there, St. Charles Place, and I know her initial intent when I spoke to her was, how can I keep him away from anything negative and put him in a position to be most successful? That's the initial intent. And through her intent, and I think this is every intention for every parent for their child. Through her intent, she started putting me in programs and positions for me to kind of excel beyond my peers. So with that, the first thing I would say, like, in the Black community, the pillar is church. And that's initially where this was the first trial. Like, how can I keep my, all right, we're gonna go to church. Church is the most positive thing. Church is where you fellowship. But at that young, church isn't necessarily a choice. It's somewhere that you are going and you have no choice in going. And you're probably there all day. And while you're there all day, although I didn't necessarily discover my spirituality at this point, I discovered music. And so with her intention to take me to a positive place, her positivity of being, you're going to receive the word, you're going to learn your spirituality, you're going to get religious. Music became my religion, weirdly. I would sit there and I would sit next to the musicians. I would sit next to the drummer, the organist, and I would just kind of see what they were doing, and it excited me, and it kind of, it was an escape almost. And KJ can attest, we went to the same church as KJ. His brother was a drummer, and I ended up being a drummer as well, and playing keys, and learning bass, and learning guitar. But these things kind of opened doors for me that initially would not have been there prior. Just learning, music, and learning how to communicate with myself or express myself through music. So I became very prevalent in writing music. I understood what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it without being anything negative or being anything crazy. And by the time I went to elementary school, I was enrolled in a music program. And I went to Mary Ford Elementary. So this is the first elementary school I went to. Was predominantly black. It was kind of, I would say it was underserved as far as resources. And a lot of the things that you would expect elementary school students to have, we did not always have. So I think that also sparked a little bit of creativity. At the school, I met a teacher named Miss McLeod, and Miss McLeod ran something called the SAIL program. And this school actually had a SAIL program that was just in the school. It wasn't like its own classroom. You would kind of leave your class, go to SAIL. It's for the gifted and talented in arts. And once I got into class, she kind of saw my potential, and she's told my mother, I think he needs to go up to a different school. He needs to transfer to where they have a full-on program. So my mother was, ecstatic about that, and she said, I'll do the paperwork and we'll have him transferred. So the school I got transferred to was this one on the bottom. It's called Goodwin Elementary. And it was further up Dorchester Road. Like I said, you live in North Charleston, the further up it is. So they had this pamphlet, which is funny. And on the pamphlet, there were it was a lot of white kids. I had never been around this many. I grew up again in a very predominantly black environment. I didn't really know, it's almost the intimidation immediately set in. I didn't know how I was gonna fit in. I didn't know what I was gonna do. So I go to the nearest Blockbuster, and I'm like, I need all your documentaries on white culture. And the guy kind of laughs, but he's like, all right, I got you. So I go in. I go in, and I receive these 5 films that really, taught me exactly of the things that most, the white culture likes. My favorite being Romancing the Stone. I love Michael Douglas in Romancing the Stone. But the most, and why this is funny, this is true, the most influential one was Grease. And I was like, there's no way their school was like them. I'm gonna go there, are they gonna be dancing? Are they gonna be, this would happen? And I really took to the character Danny Zuko. And so I was like, all right, I got this figured out, what I'm gonna do. I go and I get my church slacks, they're high water. I put on white socks. I go and get my dad's jacket. I'll never forget, I got my dad's jacket, and I took a pastel marker, and I wrote T-Bird on the back of the jacket. This jacket's like $250, and I literally wrote it on there. I put the jacket on. I'm like, all right, I'm ready. I get dressed. My mother takes me to school. She's like, what are you? She's like, whatever, let's just go. I don't have time for this. So we get to the school. I walk into school, and I'm like, what's the Frankie Valli? It's playing in my head. I'm like walking. I'm like, yeah, okay, this is like, I'm here. This is it. This is Ride Out High. This is literally it. I walk into the class, and I show up, and I walk in, and the entire class is black, and they're looking at me like, what's going on here? And if you don't know, elementary kids are very cruel and vicious people. So the whole day I'd already outcasted myself. It's like, why are your pants like that? Why are you writing on your jacket? This is weird. But by, I want to say 3rd or 4th period, I met my music teacher, Mr. B. And although he thought my attire was funny, I told him why I was dressed, and he was like, oh, we have a theater program. So he spoke to my mother about me being enrolled in theater. And the cool thing about this was, as I continue to go through the story, you'll see that most of my teachers and most of my the adults in my life always had good intention. They always had the intention for me to, like, if they saw potential, you could do better, you could always be better. And so that's what happened. I ended up enrolling in theater, which was an after-school program. It wasn't in the school yet. And because I had sale during school, during when they had theater, so I had to go to the after-school program. And I go to theater, and that's where all the white kids are apparently. And then I see them, I was like, oh, y'all have been here this whole time. I've dressed up like Danny Zuko, and y'all went there. And so I got in the first play, and the play was, it was like a spinoff of The Passion of the Christ. It was very, I don't know, it was very weird. But it was my first play, and I nailed it. Like, just off of just enthusiasm and charisma, and just seeing that, you know, I had already understood stage presence from being at church. I had already understood the music. I had already understood the musicality of how to move through a play. And although this play, my mother wasn't too happy. I think I was Pontius Pilate, and she was not with that. She's like, you're not killing Jesus. My son is not, no, you need to come out of this. But I did well. And after doing well with that, he spoke to my mother and said, you know, there's a school up the road that maybe he can go there and further his education with theater, further his education with music. The school was called the School of the Arts. And this was when, it's not the one that's there now, it was actually across the street when I started. It was on like trailers and stuff. It was interesting. But you had to audition. And so at this point also, you know, going into, I think I was in, at this point I was like in 6th or 7th when we actually submitted. This is around the time where I'm still in the area, like I'm going back home to a lot of negativity. Most of my friends are selling drugs at this point. Most of them are going through their own personal and internal struggles where they don't have an outlet to express themselves. And I knew that wasn't gonna fly with me or my mother. And so I said, what can I sell that's the closest thing to a drug, but people will buy, everyone will buy? And I found World's Finest Chocolate. I don't know if you've ever had one of these bars. I don't know if you've ever seen this thing, but this is a drug, ladies and gentlemen. This is a drug. I went door to door. I sold about, I want to say I sold about 10 to 12 boxes, which is a lot because there's like 10 or 15 in a box. But I sold enough for me to get to pay the fee to do my audition. So I sell the chocolate, I do the audition. I didn't get in the first time. And so I'm like, oh, why would I not get in? Why isn't this happening? So I had to go back to my old school. And then my mother sat me down and said, you know, what you may have the intention, well, she didn't say intention, but I'm using intention because this is the theme. But you may have the intention to get in, but never settle on what your intentions are. Always settle on the opportunity and what can come from it. Not what you intend, but what it's supposed to be. And I ended up getting in the next year. So I got in, and I'm going to School of the Arts, and this place was absolutely different from anything I had ever experienced. It was a completely creative space for young kids. I'd never been anything like this. There were like girls with fairy wings walking through the hallways, playing acoustic guitar, singing. I mean, I was like, what is going on here? But I immediately knew that I had a space to fully express myself and a support system behind me in the staff and the faculty. And so going there, I was enrolled in theater, and I met a teacher named Sam Wood. Well, that's not Sam Wood. That's Sam Wood. I met a teacher named Sam Wood, and this teacher in particular was probably one of the most influential people in my life. He was a gay man, and that's important because in my community, I had never, like, it was more homophobic. It was very, the black masculinity is very tough. It's very, and we have this conversation, it's very like you don't express emotion. You have to be this hard-edged person. And he changed my perspective on everything because he was one of the first teachers that actually cared about me as a person, rather than just like, oh, this is just my studio. This is just, my perception of what that was prior to me getting there, and my perception of what it was afterwards had completely changed. I became more open to people, of all people, everyone in the world, I became a understanding of just what it meant to be a human being. He would pull me to the side and like, hey, are you okay? Do you need anything? I know, like, I heard, he would keep his ear to like the hallways. Like, I heard you got in some situation in math, what's going on, what's happening? And that was different. I never had that. I never had a person outside of my mother or my immediate family who really cared. And with his good intention, for me to do better and just be a better person, I started becoming better. I started being more responsible, thinking about what he would think about what I was doing, think about what my mother would think what I was doing. And he created such a work ethic in me at the craft of theater, and he created such an idea that he was like, you can command stage presence, and that can translate into everything. And one day I came into class and I was making beats because I was still heavily into music. And he was like, what's this, what's going on? I told him what I was doing. And he goes, oh, you should go into the music tech class. I was like, what is music tech? He's like, I'll take you. So we walked down, and this is right when you sign up for classes, which is like, this is all crazy how it happened. It's a class where you learn how to produce music, you learn how to write music, learn how to record music. And I was like 14. And I walked in this place and it clicked. Like, that was like the light bulb. It was like, oh my God, like I can actually, this is accessible to me. This is something I see on movies and TVs, and I think this isn't real, but it's right there in my high school. He was like, you can skip my class today. I'm gonna leave you in here. You do whatever you wanna do. And I never left. I would stay there until about like 7 at night, 8 at night, because I left the school open that long. And in hindsight, I don't know how safe or smart that was, but they would leave it open that long. And once that happened, I was always making beats, I was always making songs, and that was the turning point for me as a musician, for me as a writer, for me as an artist. So while this was happening and I'm in music tech, this is also the friends who were selling drugs and the friends who were getting to the negativity. Now people are starting to die. We're older. People are like, I'm in my sophomore, junior year. People are dying. People are going through way worse things that were happening than when we were younger. And so the music became the escape, and the music really is what, from my mother's initial intent, kind of became what she wanted me to find in church. I found the music. I found that salvation. I found that comfort zone. I found that place where I could be and thrive in a positive manner. And it all started with her intent. It all started with her wanting to be a good parent, her wanting to do what was right by me as a child. And then it continued with every person along the way, the Miss McLeods in the SAIL program, the Mr. B in the theater, who took me to the Mr. Woods in the theater program in high school. And each person I encountered, each person I met along the way had a good intention. And I think that's the difference. I think coming in to anything, although you don't know the result, I think it's good to come in with good intention. So through that, I stayed in school, of course, and I graduated. That's music tech class. And I graduated. And so the journey that me and this beautiful woman here started back when she was kneeling down praying to the on the couch to me not be a rapper. I still became one, but I still became successful. I still became what her initial intent was, and that's someone who could be independent and contribute to society in a positive way. And so that's the story. That's how intent played a factor in my life. That's how intent got me to this point. And through that, I have a few points about intent before I wrap it up. Intention requires planning and forethought. Start every dream with intention. That's how every dream starts. And also, I feel like intent is like, for the creatives, it's like your creative power. I feel like that's what drives us. Like, we want to get to this point, and that's what keeps us going. Like I said, everything begins with intention. That's the start. That's the genesis. That's how everything is pretty much derived or comes to the forefront. And intention, this is important too. Intention, while we're content, is more powerful than intention when we're in dire need of something. I feel like when you're at a place where you're at peace and you're content with things, the intentions you come up with are more so for the betterment of self rather than what you need at the time. And that's always important to watch the intentions you make when in need. Never be attached to the result of what you intend to do. Because although you may have an intention in a way that it should end, it's always going to end the way it should. It's always going to end the way that it's intended to. If you come in with the good intentions, believe things will work out as they should, and not as you want them to. Opportunities may be missed, but if you focus on one thing, you may miss the opportunity. And this is the biggest one because there are opportunities that I know I've definitely missed, just being focused on I want that and not realizing that this might be better for me. So again, I thank you all for listening to me. I hope my story plays some type of positive role in your day, your week, month, or year. And I hope you all leave here with good intentions to go out and, just contribute positively as creatives. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you. And I had my boy Thomas Kinney come. We're gonna do two little diddlies. I woke him up. I woke him up at 8. He's here with us now.
What's up, Matt?
Thomas and I are in a band called Terraphonics. We did a show about maybe like a month ago, and it was like a line down the street. So we're like trying to do it again for people who couldn't make it. It's a very fun show. It's very laid back. Let's do Prophets. We're gonna do a song called Prophets.
Yeah, I'm afraid to tell you I'm afraid. I'm afraid that if I chase my dreams, I'm never gonna get paid. I'm afraid that all these curses people throwing on my name gon' manifest theyself to my demise. I gotta break these chains. I'm afraid that you gon' tell me, baby, it don't feel the same. I'm afraid you'll disrespect yourself, don't end up with no lame. See, the price is harder to pay when we can't go back from where we have came. I'ma need a stronger strain. I'm afraid to face the pain. I'm afraid that they won't notice me and see the truth has risen. Afraid of God in prison, afraid that I ain't living. I'm like a rental car in the trap, I'm too driven. Please use your vision and witness a new villain. All praises to my mama for raising her too chillin'. I'm afraid that I'ma die alone and never feel your touch. You always ask me for forever, but forever's just too much. So we compromise, but till this day I use you as a crutch, yeah. No need to stay if I'm afraid to stay. I'm afraid to leave. I'm afraid to tell my mama no more church, we don't believe. So I be picking up these rose petals for love I won't receive until my heart has finally turned stone cold Austin Steve. Caution tape, caution please. Pardon me, the Dawson Creek place while the little kittens are organizing the money. I gotta keep my pride and my paper on a bungee. So if I ever fall off, I'll bounce back. When they all come to re-up, I say I'll count that. I'm afraid to tell you I'm afraid. Go announce that. This that click clack. Loud y'all. Get your homie knocked off. I ain't here to love you. I'm just trying to blow your socks off. Trying to get the blocks, blogs, buzz, and the bunnies out in Cali doing dabs, chewing THC gummies. Afraid of bad news, so sometimes I don't read text. I'm afraid of my success, but not afraid of what comes next. Yeah. Yeah.
And this is the
Q&A. You ready?
yeah, let's go.
Yeah, you want to take some questions? That was awesome, man.
Thank you, thank you.
Get you to the right slide here. Yeah. Does anybody have a question for Matt right off the bat? I didn't mean to rap that. Sorry. That was totally accidental. Wow. You got a place in the band or anything?
Oh my gosh.
I got a question. You talked about how you feel that intention comes forward better when you're happy or content.
Yeah.
Versus when you're in need of something, right?
Yes.
How do you feel about intention when times where you're hungry, where you're hungry for the outcome and what comes after, or for the success? How do you feel intention plays a role in that? And how do you stay hungry with your music? How do you keep creating like that?
I think intention, under circumstances of like hunger, from a creative standpoint, I think when you're hungry, I think sometimes, for me personally, I might overshoot. And so I'll go for something way bigger rather than being realistic and taking the steps to get to the way bigger point. And I think that being under that type of the hunger can kind of sway just the way you should go at it. So I think, see, there's creative and then there's like survival. So like when you're like literally hungry, the intention is completely different. And that I can like attest to too. So if you're like hungry, your intent is to eat, it's almost like whatever needs to go is gonna go. And that's a dangerous space to be in. But as far as the creative, I think it's a driving point. I think hunger is important. I think remaining hungry as a creative is probably the second best thing after having the good intention and starting the intention and being creative. I think hunger is what gets you up. I think hunger is what tells you like, oh man, like I don't have any money in this account, but I gotta figure this out. That's pretty much how I would look at it.
That's awesome. How do you keep that hunger alive with all your creativity?
I look back at how much, I try to look at the accumulation of things I've done and say, all right, if you were to stop now, then what was the point of doing all these things? If you were to stop now, what's the point of these people risking themselves or putting you in positions to do better? I kind of got to be selfless. I have to think about, again, my mother's intent, there's teachers' intent, my creative team, the people who are dependent upon me. I think those are all things that kind of play into like where you want to go with your intent. And that's what keeps me hungry. It's not myself, it's more so the people around me who are like dependent, the people who, not even just financially, just mentally, yeah.
Nice. Another question? Oh, we got a few.
Y'all got questions. This coffee is kicking in.
This may have been posed for maybe the last question, but what's next? What's next show? Next, next adventure? Next album? What are you up to next?
Yeah, next is the collab album. I have an album out. I just put an album out called Filthy 2. It's a sequel to the initial album Filthy. The next project after that is a collaborative album with the Terraphonics, which is all live music, and we just started recording Sunday. And we're gonna do a really big show that we're gonna announce soon, and just touring off of that. I'm really excited about like the live aspect, because I came up in the church, so we came up with live music. I wasn't on production and MPCs yet. It was all guitars and like lap steels and drums. So yeah, that's next. Exactly. Yeah.
How do you balance other people's good intentions for you and your personal intentions when they're different?
Ooh, that's a good question. I always try to consider other people and the things that they intend when they're good intentions. Sometimes they don't line up to my own, and when they don't, you kind of have to find a compromise, a point of compromise to where both, at least I do, try to find a point of compromise to where both parties can mutually benefit and move forward, like, productively. But sometimes it doesn't work out, and I think sometimes you have to be selfish. I had to learn it the hard way. Sometimes your personal intent should override the intent of everyone else for you. At the end of the day, you know exactly what you want. You know exactly where you want to be, and you know how you want to get there. And so don't derail, and that's, if that makes sense. Like, don't deviate from your own personal plan. But if someone with good intention comes along and they want to help you or they want to be a part of it, and it seems like it could definitely be productive, I wouldn't shun it away. I would definitely use it. But be careful, because even though good intentions doesn't always equate to the good result. So it's like a quote about good. It's like the streets of hell are paved with good intentions or something. Is that a real quote? Yeah, okay. I thought it sounds like, gee, who said that? Pontius Pilate. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the coolest things about your story, I think a lot of people can probably relate, are the teachers and the people that really impacted your journey. And have you had the opportunity to start doing that? It sounds like you're really busy, but what are your intentions or plans for that to kind of dive back into your community?
Great question. This is something I've been on like this crusade to teach business. I think creatives are not the best business people. I don't know. I see. I guess we've all are relating. But they're not the best business people. I took about 2 or 3 years off. I went to Brooklyn, and I studied under Damon Dash. Damon Dash started Rockefeller Records with Jay-Z and Kanye, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't even make music. I just learned business because I realized that so many people with the best ideas do not know how to get them to a point where they can be funded or budgeted or even see the light of day because they don't know the business. And that's something I see with a lot of young artists, rappers, even in bands, anything. They don't know the business. So I think my intention is to try to communicate as best that I can the business for them to get to a place where their art can be seen in a professional manner, and to translate to them like the key of professionalism, how key that is and how big of a factor that plays into you getting, that can really be the make or break. That's been the make or break several times, from between like you getting no money and you getting several $1,000s. And that's just something that, and not that money has to be the motivation behind it, but it helps. It's something that, you need money to fund your ideas a lot of times. So I think that's the thing, is teaching how can we get to the point of funding our ideas to get to where people can see them, for me.
Hey. Just a quick story. We've been playing Filthy 2 in the house like a bunch.
Yeah.
And then Allison walks through the kitchen and she hears something. She's like, "Oh, is this Matt Monday?" And she looks down and she's like, "Oh, no, it's just J. Cole." Very disappointed.
That's funny. I appreciate it.
Why do you stay in Charleston? Yeah, that's it.
Oh, that's a good one. Oh, this is spicy. I feel like I've gone, like I said, I lived in Brooklyn. I spent a lot of time in LA, Atlanta, Miami often, and I realized that there's a certain authenticity here that you can't duplicate and that these other places don't have, especially from a cultural standpoint, especially in my community. It's like nowhere else. And I think if I were to go away and things go the way that I intend for them to go, and this takes off and I'm just, this star or whatever, and I do it from somewhere else, what message is that gonna send to like the kids here who are like, I have no hope to, they're really kids, like we sit down, I sat with a kid the other day and taught him publishing, and he really feels like his plan is, I have to go away to make a way. And although in some cases that may be true, I feel like if you, again, understand your business, and you understand yourself and your own art, you can do it. I mean, the internet exists. I have a friend, or a friend of a friend. His name is Justin, and he put up this. I don't know if you guys seen it, but there's like this viral Grim Reaper looking guy over the San Francisco Bridge. The guy has 500,000 followers. Like, I mean, just like that, is getting offers. I have another friend, Taylor Engel. He did a video for me called Strokers Row. Went to South by Southwest. He ended up getting a production job. And he's from here. He ended up getting a job with a production company. 2 years later, he working for Marvel. And it's just kind of like, you have to set some type of example. You have to set some type of, thank you. You have to set some type of, like someone has to be the first one. We talk about this all the time. If you can't imagine, the imagination can only go so far before you need a realistic example of something to say, okay, this can be done. If that makes sense. I don't know if that at least for me, you know, and I feel like, especially with kids are impressionable. I was just talking to Matt, who's somewhere in here, I don't know where he is, but he's talking to me about basketball, and I was like, hey, there's a kid in Spartanburg, his name is Zion Williamson, and he is going to be a big deal. And he's here, so you can do it from home. Like, it's very possible. Like, I mean, we really have the reaching power that we have never had. We have resources and things that we've never had. But I want to be make a long story short, I want to be the example. That's a big goal of mine, to be an example. And even if I don't get there, someone else will see it. Like, even if I spark the mind of the person who's like, all right, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to stay here, and they go off, we won, you know?
You need to give Tupac credit for that, sir. That was Tupac's quote. As a native, do you have different intentions as the city is growing and there are less of us? Do you have different intentions when you create for like the native population and then the Kamyas? Like, do you have different intentions, or is everything done with one purpose?
The intention, and more recently, has swayed with like the mass exodus here and a lot of the gentrification that erodes the culture of the people who are here. I think preserving the stories and preserving the culture is a big part of the intention now. Because once that's gone, it's gone. There is no, we can rewind that back. I don't want to go to a museum to see like what it's like to be here and be me and live here. So yeah, the intention for the most part does have to sway. I mean, I do have to be as authentic. I can only be who I am. I can only be, like even in the story, I can only tell you my exact story, and you guys interpret that and take a peek into, oh, this is what life is like there for him and for people like him. So that is the intention, to tell the story and to tell it genuinely and authentically, no matter how it may hurt. I mean, you've heard Filthy too. Like, I'm pretty direct with exactly like how I, deliver the story, deliver what exactly is going on without sugarcoating, with vulgarity and everything. I don't care, but you have to get it. I don't think things can be sugarcoated, and we come to a common understanding. And I mean, that's the goal. We have to understand each other. We got to communicate. We got to this is how it is where I am. This is what it is. How is it where you are? I went and I watched Grease, and I allegedly saw, okay, this is how things go at Rydell High. So, but not to be funny, but really, like, it really is to kind of communicate the best way, so there's an understanding on both sides, on all sides. So, yeah.
We're almost out of time, Matt. Do you have any final thoughts, or do you want to play us out one more?
Yeah, we can do one more if you guys. Yeah. All right. Thomas is awake.
All right, Thomas. All right.
And thank you guys again, man. I've never really done anything quite like this. This is like when Joel asked, I can't really say no because they're so supportive and they always like look out, and that means a lot to me, and I appreciate it. So, yeah. So this is the last one. This is Tale of a Lost Man.
Met this chick named Elaine. She got love on the brain. She got history with trifling dudes, but trying to maintain. You commit to your body, I can tell by your frame. See, some of us are just animals, some of us are more tame. I strike a match and walk through ashes. I manipulate flame, take off them glasses. I'm not gassing, beauty flows to your veins. This is promise, this is passion, this is can't say no names. I should end all the men who would hurt you, leave their remains. See, we started off texting, might turn that to affection. Easily you're a deity, swear I love your complexion. Hard to be in the same room, not looking your direction. But you dated a counterpart, so you must use discretion. If our spirits connected, I hope they never detect it. Scratch marks on that striking structure, don't ever correct it. You a boss on your own, I see that in your presence. I support your endeavors, you know I pull up wherever. May I look in your soul while I kiss on your crevice. Blowing past all your blemishes, may I make you a fetish. May I pull on your natural hair, introduce you to heaven before I scramble you egg whites with zucchini relish. May I cut up some fresh fruit while I rub on your melons. Tempranillo for Negroes, man, it ain't shit you can tell us. I might come off obnoxious, a little bit overzealous, but I come when you call my name, the story develops, yeah. 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 Met this chick named Elaine. She got lust on the brain, then gave herself to some lames. Now tell me who was to blame. Some of us are just savages, go against every grain. She always asks for my secrets, I keep emotions contained. I've been dealing with devils and demons, can't be explained, especially in the north. You know that place that I claim. She said don't love me in vain, nah, don't love me at all. You attractive but too distracting when feelings involved. Keep your distance and show compassion, I leave up my guard. Baby, what happened? Your hazards flashing, I see you've been scarred. She said I'm sick of you men, ain't trying to purchase no dreams. What's the purpose? To leave me hurting? I know all your schemes. I say reverse it, you too deserving. I'm here on your team. She said absurd, you too alert. You are not what you seem. All you men are just liars. All you men are just foul. All you men, you got women at home but out on the prowl. You brought up with your future, you stuck in the now. You ain't keeping no vows. All them lines been crossed, and from the way you speaking to me, you don't care about the cost. In other words, all you men are just lost. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt Monday, give it up. Thank you, sir.